We are going to spend a few minutes with Howard Weiner, who has a new book. We're going to talk about Europe 72, which is very much on our minds because of the amazing, good old Grateful Dead cast focusing on it this season, and it's just been absolutely fabulous. But Howard has just published a book called Europe 72 Revisited. Are you there, Howard?
Yes, I am. Hey, David and Gary, how you doing?
Hey, Howard. Thanks for
Welcome.
joining us.
This is the subtitle is 50th Anniversary of the Grateful Dead's Legendary Tour. Tell us about this book.
Well, yeah, it's a pretty legendary tour for sure. And by the way, yesterday was Billy Kreutzmann's birthday. He's 76 today.
Yes.
And the reason I bring that up, it's on the 50th anniversary of Bickershaw, one of the best, probably the best show of that tour. And Europe 72 is such a great tour. I mean, the consistency, all 22 shows. So I get into the music aspect, especially the second sets and all the great masterpieces, the Dark Stars, the other ones. But yeah, the consistency is unlike probably anything Grateful Dead that they've ever done before. Because the Dead are famous for having an occasional off night through the years. But
you think?
Europe's, but Europe 72, you can't find an off night. You can't find an off set. It's like that good. So it's a book-worthy tour. And then you got the double part of the Europe 72 album, which arguably is their most important album because it gives you the great live side of the Dead, the great Morning Dew versions of Sugar Mag, and then you get all those great new not studio songs, but all the great new Hunter tunes, Jack Straw, Ramblin' Rose, all these characters from like a place called Old Weird America. So
yeah, when you mention that in the book, I took notice of it because I had been telling people that I thought the Skull and Roses album was one of the best depictions of the range of the Grateful Dead. But when I read that in your book, I realized that you're right. This Europe 72 is all of that and more, because it really does showcase the full flower of the Grateful Dead's improvisational magic and the amazingness of that whole bunch of songs. And then they throw in stuff like a Hank Williams tune, and an Elmore James tune. So it really is the full picture of the amazingness of the Grateful Dead in that moment.
Yeah, that's. That was the album that got me. I wanted to get into the Grateful Dead when I was younger, and after a hockey game in the Nassau Coliseum, I'm sure Gary knows about the Islanders and the Nassau Coliseum, but
yes.
there was a great hockey game, and after the game, my friend put a tape in, and I never heard it before. It was Europe 72, and I heard that Cumberland Blues, and I was like, wow, this band is everything people said they were. They rock totally, and it's a bluegrass song. And then you go to the Hank Williams song, and then you hear Pig belting out the blues. He sounds like, a legitimate bluesman. He's not like a Stones cover or Zeppelin cover. And, man, when I heard that album, it just opened up doors. Almost every song opened up a new door. And, and then Ramblin' Rose, one of the ultimate Grateful Dead originals, just from another era, another time. Jerry's beautiful singing, the lyrics, Keith's playing, just tremendous stuff. And obviously, I was hooked after listening to that. I was like, I went out, I bought every Dead album, and then I started in with the shows, and it was all over.
I love reading those kind of stories from people, and I regard this. I mean, you're not a musicologist; you're a fan. You're just basically reviewing these things in the same way all those fans reviewed the shows for the Grateful Dead, the Deadhead's taping compendium. And I love this. This is like an oral history document. This is one man's view of this stuff. And somebody can come along. I'm not necessarily the target audience for it because I've been listening to it even longer than you have. But new people can come along and read this and use it as kind of a roadmap through that incredible pile of stuff to help pick out the gems. And I love seeing this kind of book out there because it's just another facet of the amazing gem that is this culture.
Yeah. The compendium, that was, I read that and I was like, I want to read more books like that. And I went to.
So you wrote some.
Yeah, I took it. Yeah, and I took an MFA in creative writing. My mentor told me, write the books you want to write. Write the books you want to read. So I was like, hey, that's exactly what I want to read. More stuff like that. And I followed through on that muse. And and Europe 72 seemed to be the next, obviously because of the 50th anniversary, seemed to be the next. The 50th anniversary 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 seemed to be the next. The 50 logical thing in my progression as far as writing, and just the whole swing of it, starting off with the album, getting me into it, and then this is like the master's class for me, like sitting down and really digging into these 22 shows because they're just so awesome. All the there's points where they're playing and they sound like I'm trying to like try to compare it to something. The only thing I could even think of at times is like Miles Davis.
Yes,
like you could take Another One or a Dark Star and put it on album, and it would stand up like right next to a great Miles Davis album.
Yeah, I was making those comparisons back then to some people who were maybe not prepared to consider that. I think the test of time has really borne that out. That the level of improvisation the Grateful Dead were making in those years. I mean, David and I have often cited this little window of the early '70s, through the Wall of Sound era, as among our favorites. And I think just the malleability of the music and the what was called the turn on a dime aspect of the music, just is really it's a hallmark of collective improvisation, and it's also great, as you said, great songs, beautifully crafted, self-contained songs as well. And few bands have ever attained anything.
We're talking with Howard F. Weiner, the author of Europe '72 Revisited. Now, Howard, the package you sent also included a novel, COVID Blues. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I wrote COVID Blues right before I realized I had to put it aside because I needed to get my Europe '72 book done in time for the 50th anniversary because I didn't want to miss the mark on the timing of that. So I wrote COVID Blues, and basically it's a little literary fiction. It's a story. It's kind of like a Field of Dreams meets Almost Famous in the middle of a global pandemic. So it's
wow,
that is a great
ringing right now.
That's a great sell of the book right there. I love that.
Now, how can people find your stuff, Howard?
Yeah, there's tangledupintunes.com is my website. You can see I have 10 books. They're lined up like pretty maids in a row, and you can also just look me up on Amazon. And hey, I appreciate all the people out there, supporting me through the years, and I'm going to keep cranking them out as long as people are happy with it.
Yeah, I really like that, instead of, trying to write one massive conclusive tome about the Grateful Dead, you've put out these more modest volumes that explore all kinds of different aspects, and your impressions of them, from Dylan with the Dead, from aspects of Jerry's playing the Dead as a jam band, or a proto jam band. And I really like that you've sort of broken things off into these little modules that are really fun to read, and also just very personal. As David said, they don't claim to make a grand statement. They're your impressions and really vivid.
Yeah. Hey, the beauty for me is the research. I pick a project, and then I just dive in, and it's just so much love I put into the listening, and hopefully it comes through in the writing. It's very cool to have all this music out there, and everybody's so supportive of it. It's not like I have to I don't have to call it Phil Lesh and say, is it okay if I do this? It's just
right. It's a critical document.
Community. Yeah.
When you said that about doing the research, it reminded me of a great moment in my life when Blair Jackson and Steve Silberman and I were doing the box set So Many Roads. One day we were sitting in my living room. I forget what we were listening to, but we were just having the time of our lives. And my wife walks in, and the living room is full of pot smoke, and we've got these big ass rings on our faces. And I go, "We're getting paid for this."
It's a beautiful thing, but hey, somebody has to pass this legacy on, and it's so incredible, and somehow it's the legs of the Grateful Dead and how it's continuing, and Dead and Company and everybody that's part of this, the wheels turning and can't slow down. It's just it's really a beautiful thing.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it helps that you know what you're talking about and that you know how to write. And I appreciate those two things very much, because we've seen some self-published books that don't meet some minimum requirements of coherence.
Yeah, hey, I decided the nice thing about getting 10 books out there, if I was going the traditional route, which I tried to go on my first book, and I could have, I'd probably have about 4 books written right now. it's kind of nice controlling your own destiny. I don't have to go to meetings in New York. I don't have to, like no one's. I have nothing to regret. Like if I put a cover out, I approved it. It's my work, So that part's very cool.
I'm in the exact same position running my own little record label. I have absolute control over every aspect of the production and release of my music, and nobody to blame but myself. So
Hey,
a colleague of mine,
schooled by the Grateful Dead business modem of the great Grateful Dead business module of doing it yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for spending some time with us. I hope a lot of people will visit, what is it again? I'm sorry, tangledupintunes.com, and take a look at all of the books, that including this new novel, COVID Blues. Howard F. Weiner, thank you for your time.
Thanks, Howard.
And, David, can I plug one more thing, please?
Please.
Dark Star Orchestra. I'm doing a book signing there at the Capitol Theater in Portchester.
Oh, great.
May 13th and May 14th, Dark Star Orchestra. And on the 13th, they're recreating the 5/13/72 show from
Yeah, that's going to be a great night, man.
Yeah, it's going to be insane. I mean, those guys do justice to anything they touch, as far as recreating Dead shows. So if you want to feel the real Europe 72 experience, the closest thing you're going to get is Friday night, May 13th at Portchester, man. Love Dark Star Orchestra, and I'll be there both nights.
Fantastic.
Right. Have a great time, man. Thank you.
All right.
Hey, thanks. Thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate you guys. Take care.